And we're live. Well, hello, everyone. This is William, the community manager from Gravity Bridge and Althea. I'm here today with Deborah St-Pierre and Justin Kilpatrick for a community call and to talk a little bit about the ongoing bridge vote.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. Will do. Yeah, thanks so much to everyone for being here on a Sunday, and glad to take some questions as we go along. Please feel free to put them in the StreamYard chat or YouTube. Will, and I hope that you can help kind of convey those questions as we go along. It's supposed to be more of a informal kind of open discussion, but I thought we could kind of start off talking about where we're at right now, right? The successes that Gravity Bridge has had so far, and a lot of the great supporters that we've had along the way, and some of the progress, kind of where we're going. Then we can talk a little bit about the bridge vote as well, which is someone mentioned that there was a nice cup there in the background. Yes, that was from our one of the conferences that we were at recently in Portland, Oregon. But yeah, so I think it would be great to really, kind of share where we're at right now. So Gravity Bridge launched with a decentralized start with over 100 validators in about mid-December 2021. Will's ready to take notes. And along the way, there's been a lot of progress. We have one of the more prominent front ends, which is spacestation.zone, is now live, and you can use your tokens on osmosis. And also we have other dexes integrated, like Iris Dex, working on that with Crescent as well right now too. There's a total of 22 blockchains actually integrated with Gravity right now. Chihuahua chain right now too. Also, one of the main use cases for Gravity is also sending, Cosmos based blockchains over to Ethereum to be used on Uniswap and other dexes on the Ethereum side of things. And Chihuahua is I think the latest in the group there, but we have other folks like Comdex and Persistence and Stargaze as well. I think that's also an important thing to highlight. We've been working on the NFT bridging, and I'll let kind of Justin talk about where we're at with that.
So we're heading over directly to NFT bridging. We want to do a larger sort of timeline or like plans, or just start with NFTs?
Let's just, I think I think that NFTs are something everyone's interested in. There's a lot of activity in Cosmos right now. And I know that we've had a lot of Cosmos blockchains come to us and ask, kind of like, how would they, look at transferring NFTs back and forth. So I think it'd be kind of a fun thing to, share a little bit more about, give some context on as we move forward.
Cool. Okay, then. So first of all, we've got to talk about a little bit of background about NFTs in the Cosmos ecosystem, and sort of what parts are ready and what parts aren't. So when we talk about NFTs in the Cosmos ecosystem, we're talking about Stargaze, EVMOS, Juno. These are all blockchains that have enabled that are running a Cosmos module with a programming environment, whether it be CosmWasm or an EVM emulator. These are really only two right now. So you can think of Ethereum as the whole blockchain is just the EVM operations, and there's a little bit of what would be a parallel to the Cosmos native bank module, but only for Ethereum. So you have a bank module that handles Ethereum. You have the EVM, and that is like the Ethereum blockchain. Whereas these Cosmos SDK blockchains that have integrated programmable, modules that handle programmability sort of have two layers. They have the native Cosmos SDK modules, and they have contracts and things deployed by their users in the programming environment. Now, right now, all of these NFTs are sort of trapped inside that little programming environment. And the reason for this is that when you want to take like a CW20 or an ERC20 that's in EVMOS and move it over IBC, you can do that. Obviously, there are a few of them on Osmosis and elsewhere. But that requires taking the ERC20 within the programming environment and making a representation in the Cosmos Bank module. So the Cosmos Bank module would handle your atoms, your IBC tokens from other chains, et cetera, et cetera. So there's not quite a standardized replacement for the Cosmos Bank module for NFTs. There's no Cosmos standard NFT module. So that's sort of missing. And then this brings up the question of how do you transfer NFTs across chain? So Gravity Bridge is a multi-hop bridge, meaning that things come from Ethereum, they stop by Gravity Bridge like a train station and move on to their next destination. This means that we need to be able to transmit NFTs over IBC. So the standard for that, ICS 721, is essentially complete. But what's missing are a series of robust, interoperable implementations. So there are instructions for how you might go about sending NFTs over IBC, but not an actual implementation for that. And then there's final issues to deal with around EVM and COSM-WASM compatibility if they end up with different implementations, yada yada. So now that I've provided some background, the context is that Gravity Bridge itself has made really good progress on being prepared to bridge NFTs. We have the Solidity contract, which will lock up the NFTs and allow us to mint a representation on Gravity Bridge. And from there, we now have to answer the question, well, okay, what does minting the representation on Gravity Bridge mean? And what does sending it to another chain mean? And these are two questions that the larger Cosmos ecosystem is still working on handling. And we are working with them and helping to support the Stargaze team, which is pushing forward a lot of this work. Also, I believe Iris is working on this some, and
Omniflix as well.
Yes, there we go. Sorry, I knew I was missing something.
There's actually a lot of folks working on that side of things too. So I think, like you said, we've set the stage. We've done a lot of that work on Gravity. Really, it just kind of all those pieces coming together to have that full piece of interoperability. But what should people do if they want to help work on that? What would you recommend to get involved there?
Yeah, so I think the right way to get involved there would be to get involved with, a particular destination chain, one that has, one that has an NFT community, and kind of push them and say, hey, I want to bridge my NFTs over IBC. I want to take them somewhere else, and to sort of bring that up on their priority list, and also, to encourage them to just spend the money on developing it. It's always a question of allocation of resources. But I think this whole sort of situation, like what I've just said, this whole explanation coming up until now, sort of highlights how Gravity Bridge is aligned with the larger Cosmos ecosystem. We're not trying to go this on our own and make some weird capability that nobody else is going to use for one particular partner. We're trying to integrate with the Cosmos ecosystem standard way of doing things, and most importantly, elevate the Cosmos ecosystem standard way of doing things, so that the experience and the interoperability can be better for everyone. So this is the approach we're taking to NFTs, and we'll take it even if it slows us down a little bit, although I suspect that it's actually going to end up accelerating support. Because interoperability, it's difficult. It requires coordination. It requires patience. You can't always just go it on your own. And that's why we are working with the entire Cosmos ecosystem on NFT IBC support, which sounds like acronym soup, and improving the state of IBC. And this gets into some other. Deborah, do you mind if I go into like a general timeline, stuff like that, or do you want to?
I want to say something about this really quick, and then I think that would be great. One of the things that that this approach to interoperability and working together as part of the ecosystem, right? I think also sort of speaks to the way that we think about maintenance and growth and security as well, right? So Gravity Bridge, open source code, lots of different blockchains integrated as a module, or so you have like Injective, Umi, Sommelier, and then you have the other 22 blockchains that are integrating with it. We have permissionless front ends, but all of that means that you have lots of different developers from different backgrounds. You have lots of different ecosystem projects that are supporting it, working with it, using it, have their eyes on it, right? Rather than just one sort of isolated siloed team, right? This if you think about it in like the Linux sort of approach, this will make the project better, will grow to have, will grow in the ways that fit in the market and be more secure because you have a lot of different eyes, sort of looking at it and building on top of it. And then please talk about that. Feel free to go forward with the kind of context and timeline there. We skipped over that to go into NFTs. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So coming up on sort of our features list is that we hope to have a proposal out to the community soon for another upgrade, particularly to get the Mercury auto forwarding feature working properly. We had some issues with that, particularly compatibility with very common IBC relayers that we have since fixed. Worked fine in tests, but you know how it goes. Now, the nice thing about how reliably we've built this feature is that we simply fell back to the old behavior. So we got all of our store upgrades and reliability fixes in with Mercury Part 1, and we're going to finish getting IBC forwarding in with Mercury Part 2, along with additional, dependency upgrades and new features. This is coming pretty much as soon as it can be coordinated with the community. So I'm really looking forward to getting that deployed.
Do you want to say how cool it is and why it's cool? And
oh yeah, sure. So IBC auto forwarding is going to allow users to send one transaction on Ethereum, and then their tokens will arrive on the destination blockchain as a single action. So what actually happens is that you send the message on Ethereum, Gravity Bridge interprets it, and then instead of having like a, I guess the metaphorical equivalent of a layover in Gravity Bridge, the Gravity Bridge chain itself will see the transaction and say, oh, hey, this is going to Juno, and send it directly off to Juno as an IBC packet. This is actually where we ran into some trouble. It turns out certain relayers will relay just fine if the IBC transactions are created by the chain themselves, others not so much. So we sort of had to change our approach there to ensure compatibility with the entire IBC relaying ecosystem. Once again, harking back to that point that we don't like to have private, how should I put it? We don't like to keep code sort of in the background. We want to make sure that everybody can run everything. We don't like our team to have like centralized control of the only relayer that works, or like, oh no, this needs special treatment or special behavior. So while a lot of other bridges have things like private relayers that only they run, that's not an acceptable solution for us. So we decided that we would just not move forward with the governance proposal to enable the Mercury auto forwarding, get a fix out the door, and make it compatible with all IBC relayers. And this is indicative of our larger engineering approach, is that we're going to do it right. And we're not going to do it in a way that's like, oh yes, it'll work, but only if someone from our team is awake to go and kick this machine every couple of days. That's not how you build good technology.
It's not how you build good plumbing. Because like a sewer system, Gravity Bridge is this core piece of infrastructure, and bridges are core infrastructure, right? What do we need them to do? Do they need to be flashy? No, they need to work. They need to always work. They need to work every day, and they need to work with everything else involved in it. Like you can't imagine, what if it didn't work with a certain type of toilet or something like that, right? But I do want to come back and hype a little bit more the one click, right? So this is this UX. It's just really beautiful, right? So you go to your front end, you're going to send something to Osmosis, you're going to send something to another DEX, you're going to send something to Stargaze. It's going to be one click send. And all of that sort of like, multi-hop, that's just going to get abstracted away. It's that really amazing UX. And I've been really excited about this feature for a while and excited for that to be soon. So we're talking like a week. So this is really just imminently here.
Yeah, the feature's actually ready, but the feature's ready and has met the normal standard for Cosmos ecosystem testing, which is, a small test net, you hand test it all, a couple of people try it and hack on it and see what works. But we have a bit of a higher bar. So Christian has been working on an automated test system that will test this code with every single commit and change in the code base. Which is generally how we do everything, because this allows us to have really high confidence and to push changes in a distributed way. This is part of why we can have such a decentralized community, because we can push changes with more confidence. So
there was a question about, do you see it on there? Oh, yeah.
I see them. Or unless they're in Discord. They're all in YouTube, right?
In YouTube, yeah.
Cool, then I got it. So will there be an increased gas cost for auto forwarding? And the answer is not right out the gate. Gas costs are a discussion that the community needs to have at some point soon. But I'm going to get through these questions and also the timeline before we get to that, because that's something that's very important to talk about. But let's put a pin in. So the next subject is so if I auto forward from Wawa from ETH to Chihuahua chain, do I need Wawa for gas? And the answer is not right now. I will come back to that later. There are a few other questions that I think we want to wait until after we're done with our timeline for.
Yeah, there's a couple of, we'll get into more like the bridge off the strategy, and what I want to do too about our bridge off, like the kind of voting selection too, is I want to like let's take like a zoomed out look at that and really look at, where is the Cosmos ecosystem going? Where what does it look like, not only like maybe a month or so in the future, but what does it look like a year in the future, right? And how do we, make sure that we, or how does Gravity sort of look at that longer term timeline? But go ahead, Justin. I didn't mean to derail you again.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So sort of to move on to the next step in our sort of upcoming timeline is that we are planning on working so MultiEVM support. We are working on having that ready sort of towards the end of the summer. Do a testnet or two, get it out the door. We're thinking a relatively small number of high value chains so that we can maintain really great security. And this is a balance design wise that I'll let Deborah comment and maybe get into if it's worth the time.
I thought this would be a really great opportunity to sort of introduce the Ethernal team as well. So we're adding to our Cosmos ecosystem. We'll be introducing them to the community for a governance vote to support their continuing work. But, they aren't as visible, but this is a great team of developers that have been working in at Informal on Gravity Bridge, sort of incubated there with Jahan Chambek, who is early Althea co-founder, right, who also has a lot of understanding of Gravity. And so out of that, that kind of incubation and work, they've been doing some work now with Justin, as he's also sort of, kind of onboarded them. And now we're going to bring them on into Gravity full time, introduce them to the community, and, get that work underway. But there's this whole other great team that has a full understanding of Gravity, that's been working on it for months, who will help, support that multi-EVM. That's a big part of what they're going to do, is work on that multi-EVM support as well too. So really excited about that, excited about the EVM support. And, and I think it's one of those things too, where, we've been very market driven, right? So the ecosystem in Cosmos really needed EVM stables. That's where we focused our work. Ergonomics needed to happen. Back32 forwarding, that's where we focused our work. Multi-EVM, if there's like this, fast, market need like right now for this, like, that's certainly something that can be accelerated. But, I think, perhaps I'm just not aware of it, but we're certainly not getting that request from lots of different Cosmos blockchains that's a need right now.
Yeah. So okay. I will get on with my timeline thing, but also I really want to spend a little bit of time on that. And that is that when people say, I want X, they don't expect to be interpreted by a paperclip maximizer. It's like, I want my car to go fast. That doesn't mean I don't want airbags. It's a good analogy. Every design decision has a trade-off.
Yep.
And what we focus on is trying to make sure that the trade-offs are the right ones. And this lets us sort of get into the rest of our development timeline, is that we are working on NFTs in a way that aligns with the longer Cosmos ecosystem. We are working on multi-EVM support in a way that the community, when they say multi-EVM support, they don't mean we want more ETH chains, but each one at a reduced security guarantee. No. The validators also don't want multi-EVM support, but you have to run 100 different full nodes for 100 different EVM chains. So once again, you're asking for a fast car. You still want your airbag. You still want nice seats. Yeah. you're saying I want speed, but within reason. And this is really where you see other bridges sort of, well, to use an older metaphor, throw out the baby with the bathwater, because they're saying, well, okay, we can't expect our validator set to run 100 different full nodes, so we're going to have a smaller section of the validator set secure each Ethereum bridge. That doesn't really make any sense. That's not the version of the feature that the community actually wants.
Exactly.
And likewise, there's not an enormous demand for a bridge to every EVM chain. So we're going to keep very high level of security, very high level of decentralization, and focus on doing things the right way and the way that it integrates with the community. So coming back to that, the other long-term priorities I would like to see out of Gravity Bridge, and this is more of a personal thing that the community will have to review and say, oh yes, that sounds great. I see a big opportunity for us to help develop the IBC metadata ecosystem. So right now, in IBC, when you send a token across the chain, you just have the base denom. You don't get the full metadata of that token. And this makes it kind of complicated to use stuff. And all of these different dexes and chains that use IBC tokens, they end up with some repository or some storage. It's like, oh yeah, this hash means this token and has all this metadata. Well, we would like to improve the IBC UX and then expand it so that, for example, metadata for Ethereum tokens is also distributed via IBC, or provide other sort of Oracle information, a little bit more general purpose access to Ethereum, maybe something like instant swaps, where using interchain accounts, you can say, hey, go swap this on Uniswap, and Gravity Bridge just executes it for you and sends the result back to you. So you could, for example, Evmos, perform a swap on Uniswap and get the resulting tokens back in your wallet. These are features that really leverage the Cosmos ecosystem. They leverage IBC, and they integrate well with interchain accounts and these other things that are being worked on. And these are things that I plan to propose to the Gravity Bridge community for development. So these are things that excite me. I think other things that excite me, including, and notice all of these are expansions on IBC functionality. They're really improving IBC and sort of lifting up the whole ecosystem, is that we also have interchain security coming up. And that will hopefully allow us to increase the security of Gravity Bridge beyond the value of just Grav stake, and sort of add additional tokens on top of Grav as a staking token, which helps address, the biggest security problem with bridges. The statement is always, well, what happens when the value in the bridge exceeds the market cap of the coin? Not that anybody has ever seen that happen yet, but interchain security is a capability that lets us counteract that lets the Gravity Bridge community say, well, okay, there's too much money in the bridge. We need to buy some more security. Oh, look, Cosmos community, we have a ton of it. We can buy additional security from one chain, potentially even more than one chain if the implementation supports it. So this is a really great capability that will help, once again, improve the entire Cosmos ecosystem. It always comes back to that. So now that we've talked about all of this,
can I just give a little bit?
I'm sorry. All the exciting stuff. I'm like, okay, next one.
Yeah, and I think that really, we, since the beginning of Gravity, have been also working with ICF and Informal and having conversations with them about interchain security and how that should evolve, and we hope to continue to do so too. I think we have put our money where our mouth is in that respect, right? We do have 9% of the Gravity Genesis allocation is distributed to core Cosmos entities. There is Grav token in the Cosmos Hub as well as the Osmosis Hub. As when we launched at Genesis, that was the only DEX at the time, but we did also reserve about 50% of the community tokens for, as we know that other projects are going to come along that would that the Gravity community will decide what they want to support on. So I think it's a good cross ecosystem alignment.
Yeah. So this is something that we've worked really hard on, and So this all kind of leads into the next thing I want to talk about, and this is a big discussion for the Gravity Bridge community to have.
Yeah.
Is fees. How do we want to handle them, and where might we want to put them? So for context here, Gravity Bridge has two different fee systems. So when I say fees, if you feel a little confused, that's okay. There's Ethereum fees, and then there's fees paid to Gravity Bridge chain. So for example, if you were to pay a fee for an IBC transfer, that would be a fee to a Gravity Bridge chain. If you pay a fee to send a message on Gravity Bridge, that's a Gravity Bridge fee. If you pay a fee on Ethereum, or if you're locking up money on Gravity Bridge to be paid on Ethereum, then that's an Ethereum fee. Now, Gravity Bridge already has the lowest fees of any chain, of any currently active bridge in the Cosmos ecosystem, with a deposit fee of the exact same price as a normal ERC20 send, and a withdrawal fee of $10. And we are looking to start lowering that, actually, because, and this gets into one of the questions in the chat. Someone asks, when should we enable our relayers to ETH? Will it be mandatory? Do you have any statistics about how many transactions GB is already relaying daily, weekly? And the answer is that we are moving somewhere, it's highly variable day to day, but on average, somewhere between 25 and 50 transactions go from Gravity Bridge to Ethereum every day, and as many as a couple hundred go the other way. The other way, go from Ethereum to Gravity Bridge. Let's be clear. So this really lets us utilize our batching system and start to reduce the cost and also reduce the time it takes to move from Ethereum, to move from Gravity Bridge back to Ethereum, which is normally the expensive part of these sorts of bridges. Now, the Gravity Bridge community, so right now, Gravity Bridge is charging no fees for anything. All fees collected are for Ethereum gas only, and for the Ethereum relayer ecosystem. And I consider this to be a really big part of our decentralization and our UX to achieve low fees and high efficiency. And we have really achieved that. We have dramatically lower fees than the other providers. And in fact, I believe Axelar is charging $20 on top of, somewhere between a $5 or $8 ERC20 fee on deposit, which is really crazy because we have no additional fee on top of the deposit. So the Gravity Bridge community could choose to add a fee like that as a way to capture value. They could also choose to add a fee on top of withdrawals from Gravity Bridge to Ethereum, or to IBC sends, general transactions, etc. And I'm hoping to have a blog post with my analysis of these options for the community's consideration out within the next couple of days. And I think that the exciting thing here is that because we have the lowest Ethereum fees of all bridge providers already, and they're only continuing to go down with volume, we also have the only decentralized Ethereum relayer community. The other bridge providers have to run centralized relayers due to design issues or due to extreme gas inefficiency.
I'm going to pause there because I want to pause on two things here.
Yes.
One, so it's an independent market of relayers. So people could run a relayer without running a validator, right?
Yes, people can and people do run a relayer without a validator. And these relayers are profitable. There are instructions in the documents. They wait until the fees are sufficient to pay for things, and then they send the transaction.
So I want to, because I want to highlight that because you have a profitable market, independent marketplace of relayers, right? This is the sustainability of the bridge. So if Justin and I and anyone else who's been working on the bridge decided to, go take a vacay or something like that, this bridge is sustainable. It's, it's going to run and it's going to, continue to operate with a decentralized group of people, a permissionless group. And I think that's really exciting to, what I think our core principles is that decentralized sustainable systems are resilient to things like censorship. You also are not going to have you're also, because it's independent relayers, you also going to have a marketplace, right? You're not necessarily going to have a centralized group making decisions that hike the price up all the time, right? Creates that really open marketplace.
Yeah, and this really ties into something else. So because the other three bridge providers have a centralized don't really have a relaying marketplace to speak of, and some of them also have whitelists that would prevent you from relaying even if you had the software and the desire to do so. But with Gravity Bridge, that's not the case. In fact, the instructions in the documents repo include how to run your own relayer if, for example, you want to subsidize transactions of a particular token type. So let's say, for example, and I know that the NIM team has been working with us closely on this sort of stuff. They want to make sure that NIM transactions are pretty much free. So they have their own relay running. They just had to follow the instructions to do so. With Axelar or Nomad, you can't do that. So whatever they decide to charge for fees, if they have an issue, you're stuck. And there's really nothing you can do about that. And this brings us back to the big idea of Gravity Bridge, trying to design a bridge that's what people actually want. You want a fast car, but you also want door handles. You don't want your car to just have no way to get in. Sorry that the door handle's in the app and the app is down today. Your car's fast, but not today. So that's not a good design. It's not what people actually want. And it's not what we do here in the Gravity Bridge community.
And I think, the proof is in the tech. The Gravity Bridge module has been implemented in a multitude of chains. This is what other blockchains and Cosmos have decided is the best bridge. So it's been operating for a while. It's been working. It's, it has a track record behind it. So yeah, and I think, just to emphasize Justin's point there. I did also want to loop us back to one of the things about the different fees that I think not a lot of people know is that the fees are denominated in the token that you are bridging across, right? So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that, Justin.
Yeah. So once again, this is partially how should I put it? I think fees are a really big UX decision because obviously if you're sitting there like, oh man, I would love to send this transaction, but I got to figure out how to acquire some atom, that doesn't feel too great.
Right.
And that's I don't think that's very good UX. So for the Ethereum fee system, the way that I designed that was that the fees for batches will be the same as the token you were transferring, and this ensures you always have some tokens to pay fees. Because you're transferring that token, you have to have some of it. And this is a UX decision that once again I'm posting an analysis for the Gravity Bridge community within the next couple of days. And the options I'm presenting to the community are to extend that sort of behavior, which is where instead of saying, hey, fees can only be paid in Grav, we will design a system to deal with some of the problems. And there are non-trivial problems in the design here, but they can be overcome to provide better UX where users can pay fees in whatever token they have. And that will really help improve their experience. And also, these fees are distributed to Gravity Bridge stakers and validators. If you're a Gravity Bridge validator or a delegator, if you go and look at your account, you'll probably find like a teensy amount of wrapped ETH in there because somebody decided to pay a fee in wrapped ETH earlier. Right. And this is also where the Gravity Bridge fee sort of community decision is important, right. Because the direction that I would like to propose the community go is to do more of that and to bring a lot of these tokens into the community pool for group treasury management and also to individual stakers. Because with the really low fees in the Cosmos ecosystem, we can make it ergonomic to say like, oh, I have dust of 30 different types of tokens. Let's just go ahead and sweep that up.
So, and I think it's kind of to loop this into the bridge vote, right? Shortly after Gravity Bridge launched, the community decided to airdrop 14 million Grav to the Osmosis community pool as well. And it was sort of the intention there that the Osmosis community would, make a decision out if they would like to airdrop it or add it into LM or whatever. So to distribute that amongst their community as they saw fit. And then they can participate also in the governance of the fees, right? So if you're using the bridge as a DEX in that community, should also have some say and input in how those fees are going to, work as well, and also have any potential, if there is any benefit from that too, right? So, we did put up, or I think someone put up a proposal in Osmosis, kind of talking a little bit about that, maybe, doing some dropping of that to the community members. But I'm excited to see, where that can find kind of mutual community benefit there.
Yeah, and I'd like to stop and sort of highlight this is something that that Deborah and I discuss a lot, is that the community pool in most Cosmos chains is not really as much of a community tool as the Gravity Bridge community has made our community pool. Yeah. So it contains roughly half of all Graviton. And, whereas other communities may make a lot of signaling proposals that are saying, oh, yes, I would like this to be done. Please do it, developers. We strive to make it so that the proposals actually take action. And this is how the Gravity Bridge airdrops were actually executed, is that they spin directly from the community pool. The proposal executes the airdrop. End of story. And this gives the community a lot of power that at the time of design, it seemed the obvious conclusion, but in retrospect, it seems like a lot of communities don't really encourage that sort of behavior. They don't like random proposals coming up. Well, random proposals, democratic proposals that may not have gone through the right amount of community pre-discussion. Don't want them coming through and actually spending money. But here, the sort of Gravity Bridge community philosophy for that is that either you believe in the governance system or you don't. So if you believe in the governance system, it should execute what the community wants. And that's always what we've strived to do. So when we highlight the Gravity token allocation that the community chose to send to Osmosis, we're highlighting it in that same vein, that it's a tool to be used for the community and to be spent directly by the community in a democratic manner.
One of the things we did too with that too, and I think this also, kind of came out of a lot of these governance discussions that have been happening in the Cosmos community, was to put some structure behind, some of these smaller discussions and work that needs to be done. So we proposed the idea of what we call gravity growth or gravity groups, right? So you have these smaller sub DAOs that can handle some of the more smaller day-to-day decisions. And one of the first ones that's it's getting started, which I'm really excited about, the community's voting on it right now, right? Will, is that right?
Yeah, approved actually.
Oh, okay. So it just got approved, and this is for the first. It's a Gravity working group for community improvement, right? So there's a smaller allocation of Grav that goes to this multi-sig of holders there. This like sub DAO, right? So it's a DAO of DAOs. And they can help make, smaller token allocations to people that are making community improvements, documentation, informative Twitter tweets and things like that, right? So all that kind of work, the day-to-day work that can go through them. And then there's a check and balance between the larger community and a larger multi-sig. And then what's also exciting too is that there's a process now that we'll iterate on, the community will improve and iterate on, for electing members of a larger multi-sig from this one, right? So and I think, hopefully together, the Cosmos community can really start talking about these, the governance. I mean, one of the things that's really kind of difficult with the Osmosis Bridge off is that the process of voting is really blunt, right? I mean, it's really this, all of the governance module can do is yes or no. There's no maybe, or we'd like to see this or that, or there's no real, there's no ability to really have a parsable or composable governance process. So, I think the positive that perhaps comes from even kind of a not the best process is that hopefully we can improve it, right? So this is just the beginning, hopefully, of collective work that happens. And that's the other great thing, is that we, was it back in January, February, started the first Gravity grants program too, and that's supposed to be kind of a threefold grant process, or a three kind of department grants, right? So grants that are for like, marketing, community, ecosystem, grants that are for development, and then grants that are just for Cosmos public goods out of the Gravity treasury there.
Yeah, so I am really excited about the grants program, especially the potential of the Gravity Bridge community really helping to solve some of these larger ecosystem problems, like helping fund an ICS 721 implementation to make NFTs possible, helping fix, how should I put it? Helping update the Ledger app to work better so that you don't end up with all these, all these airdrops that don't support Ledger. It's because the Ledger app itself, the thing that goes on the Ledger, needs to be updated to be more compatible. That work needs to be done. And then we have a few questions in the chat regarding the fees. Deborah, do you mind if I detour over there?
Yeah, let's do it. I think the community wants to talk about that. I think it's really, I think it's one of those things we haven't talked about enough. So let's chat.
Yeah. So so we have two questions. It is all cool about fees and different tokens. I really loved it. But what about supply demand for Grav itself? As soon as you have to pay fees in Grav, people will need Grav, and in theory it will cost more. Now, this is part of what I am working on for my write-up, and in terms of actual fees being charged in the Cosmos ecosystem, like total fee earnings, especially compared to Ethereum, they're really low. In fact, I suspect this, and I hope to publish an analysis for the community to review. I don't think that the way existing fees are being charged is having much of an impact in that way directly. But I do want to highlight here that with interchain accounts coming up, and it becomes possible to do really cool things. For example, the community can collect fees in USDC, in Atom, in anything into the community pool, and then using interchain accounts, vote to liquidate those on the DEX, and on any DEX of their choice. And once again, when I say a vote, I mean a vote that will actually execute the sale. And this is what really makes me excited about interchain accounts. There's enormous potential here of using IBC for next level stuff, including governance enabled stuff, is what really makes me excited. Because right now, there is right now there's a community multi-sig that moves funds across to Osmosis and locks them up for rewards. And I'm really looking forward to when the governance proposal will do that itself. It'll just reach over to Osmosis and say, hello, execute this, please. Thank you. And that's going to be really great. And this also allows us to go to a sort of next level of fees and treasury management in the Cosmos ecosystem, where the community itself can go and take any money in the community pool, not of the native token, and make use of it on a DEX. They could do something like burn the tokens, like buy Grav and burn it. They could buy Grav, put it back in the community pool. They could buy something completely different. They could do any one of a million things. And these sorts of possibilities is, I think, the long view in the Cosmos ecosystem, rather than the short-term one of making your users frustrated and confused when they arrive at the airport so like the metaphorical airport or bus stop and are asked to buy a different ticket with different money. There's also no money changer around, so it's kind of a hard problem. And this is bad UX, and I want to avoid it. And I feel like because of the technical advancements in interchange security, not only can we avoid it, the Gravity community can have its cake and eat it too.
So two things. One, I think airplanes are just wingy buses. And two, I would encourage anyone here that's interested in this discussion that we'd love to have you over in Discord. We have a great community there. We'll be talking, and the community will be discussing this over the next, however long. We'd love to have you there and your input, and please feel free to join us. Will you drop a link in there at some point? But yeah, it's a great place.
Yeah, and one of the So one of the questions is, could the Gravity community stake tokens that are in the community pool? And the answer is yes, they can.
Whoa.
And this is sort of
Getting
how
meta.
interchain accounts moves into interchain security. So you start to see the sort of community timeline that's already been talked about, where we're going to get interchain accounts, then we're going to get interchain security.
That's pretty
Because
cool.
interchain security has a lot of these same elements. So yes, that is possible. And you could also end up doing community-powered DeFi decisions automatically executed, potentially even on Ethereum. Once again, Gravity Bridge has the ability to execute any sort of Ethereum transaction the community likes, and we hope to open up that possibility directly to governance as well. So there's really a bright future of what governance for Gravity Bridge can do. And that is the direction we want to push in our development, is to build things in a decentralized way, a community first way, and in a way that is what you want. Like when you ask for a feature, you want all of the upsides and you don't want any unexpected downsides. And we work hard to avoid that. We work very hard to ship things that are complete and ready and missing big, sharp, rough edges.
And I think that, this is a good place as we're coming out toward the hour here to, all of the things that we've been talking about here, regardless of what happens in the bridge vote, will continue to exist and to continue to be built upon. I think there's something kind of uncrypto to create a monopolistic silo of any project, right? So, and I always believe that if anyone is building castles, there's a decentralized community breaking them down. So if we kind of zoom out and look, the decentralizations is that resiliency. It is that, sustainability that centralized projects don't have. So, regardless of what happens in this vote, these things will continue to be true and, continue to move forward, which is why we're all here, right? To build better, more efficient, more decentralized, more egalitarian, system. So we'll be here now and 2 weeks from now and a month from now, and continuing to work away on that. Just open it up to I think probably the last 15 minutes of just kind of conversation or questions, or I think there's some questions about kind of the decentralization of stake and validators too. So Gravity Bridge doesn't have a large foundation or any kind of company that's running it, right? So me, Justin, we don't have any necessarily control over how people decide to delegate and stake, and so it is one of those situations where we definitely can, I think, talk about it as a community. What can we do to decentralize that out, and what does that look like? And I think a lot of that, the thought around Gravity Grants was also, it was looking to give a lot of these validators that are working on these projects more grab for that work. But it's a continuing and evolving discussion, right? And I think that does speak to the decentralization, that there isn't one person that can make a decision, unilaterally about what that looks like.
Yeah, so I did want to highlight this. If you take a look at the distribution, there is no holder with more than 10%, but not everybody has delegated. So if we could encourage everybody to delegate and participate in governance, this would not, the stake could be a little bit more decentralized. We also, like Deborah said, the Gravity Bridge community is a lot of different holders, members of the Cosmos ecosystem. And they are not tightly controlled. Like, for example, staking on some chains is much more tightly controlled by a more central authority. So you don't see a validator with more than 10%, but also all of the validators only have the percentages they are told to have. So we are in a more decentralized environment, and that leads to people being able to make decisions that aren't necessarily optimal. So Gravity Bridge governance has already implemented a minimum, has already implemented a minimum validator fee And I look forward to whatever the Gravity Bridge community wants to do as far as governance about future actions we should take to ensure the decentralization and security of Gravity Bridge. And notice that's very careful phrasing, because this is a democratic effort. Nobody is able to unilaterally modify how the validators operate. But that doesn't mean it's not important, and we should focus on it.
Exactly. One thing we have done as well too, Will's done a great job of adding a part of the Discord that highlights where people, well, validators can come and show what they've been doing to support the community. So if you haven't delegated your Grav yet and you want to, that's a really great place to go and to learn about the different validators that you may be interested in staking with. And there's a lot of really great folks as part of that community. And then there's a question about Frontend too that I want to make sure we have time to get to. So one of the things too, maybe people don't realize, is the Frontend for Gravity Bridge is actually permissionless. Anybody can make a front end for it, and many people, or at least a few different projects, have. One of the most well-known is spacestation.zone, run by the fine folks over there at Cosmos Station, who have done a lot of work on that. It looks great. There's also the winner of the for one of the first Gravity grants, which is the Blockscape team, has a front end as well, which I don't remember the URL to off the top of my head, but I think they're also continuing to improve that. They're not necessarily a front end, but the Citadel One team also made some really unique and cool management tooling as well. Go ahead, Justin.
It's bridge.blockscape.network.
Bridge.blockscape.network. But I think and I was also saying Citadel One too. I don't know, Will, you want to throw that in as well? But what I think is exciting about that is you have this whole ecosystem of different front ends. It's very censorship resistant, right? You're not going to have, one, only canonical or something like that kind of front end. And many different front ends can interact with that. If you are a Cosmos blockchain and you want to make your own front end, it's very easy to do. In fact, I think we have documentation for it.
Yes. So I wrote a document specifically how to build a front end for Gravity Bridge. It's in the Gravity Docs repo. And what I personally would like to see happen is more grants from the Gravity community to build a variety of different front ends with different focuses. Specifically, for example, the spacestation.zone and Blockscape are both restricted in what types of ERC20s you can send over. But if you use the CLI tools, you can send anything you want over as long as it implements the ERC20 standard. You can have Curve, WBTC, any arbitrary ERC20 you care to deploy 5 minutes from now. All of these can be moved over Gravity. And I would like to see an advanced front end that could really, that lets you just paste in an ERC20 address and say, I'm sending this across the bridge. I might not even know what it is, but I can do that. And this is the sort of diversity of implementations let us do. We can have, a more advanced user front end, a easy front end. We can have, osmosis, persistence. Anyone who wants to integrate us directly into their own front end, integrate Gravity Bridge directly into their own front end, just so that and this makes Gravity Bridge easier to use. It makes it more resilient, more decentralized, and this is the focus that we've always had.
Yeah, I think what we've seen in the past too is you have a lot of people use AWS. AWS goes down, right? Well, this would not happen necessarily with Gravity, right? Because you have different front ends. You could access it with a whole different front end, or you could access with a front end that is using Akash and is decentralizing their stack in that way. This is really that strength that decentralization and permissionless access really gives us. So I'm excited to see an ecosystem of different projects building on top of it, as we've already seen, so much activity around the bridge.
I was just to comment on Dusha's, it's in Cyrillic there. But that is what you were asking was if we have a grant for the community to do some of these other things. And that's what Deborah was describing before. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead and join the in the Discord channel. We've got the Gravity
DAO.
Groups general chat. And,
Yeah, so the
and
Gravity Groups general chat has all of the different, what will be a bunch of different groups there. Right now, we just have the community group, and then, but that's just exactly for these like smaller grants that help support the community.
Yeah, Dusha Speculanto, I think was the anyway.
Wow. Yeah, well, thanks everybody for joining us. I think we're wrapping up. Any last minute conversations out there? Appreciate everyone being here today and being part of our community. Love to see you in Discord and continue that conversation along.
Hasta luego, everyone.